Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Yana. If you are new here, I'm a registered nurse living in state Queensland in Australia, currently working for Queensland Health in general medicine. I do film nursing content on my channel and I try to upload every single week, so hopefully you will like what you see here. In today's video, I want to talk about fatigue when we are returning post-night shifts. So it is very serious topic because it is very hard to drive back home after you've done 1, 2 or even 3 night shifts in a row. The struggle is real, and what brought me to talk about this topic is a reel that I've seen on Instagram by nurse Blake. We all know Blake, he's a really funny nurse, but in that reel he was actually talking about the real problem and the case that has happened in the United States to one of the registered nurses. So she was driving back home from a night shift and she was involved in a car accident when the man died because she was tired. From my memory, I think she got a sentence, and that man, yes, passed away. So I think it's an unfortunate situation for her and for the man, because that man could have been someone's father, someone's husband, son. This is not probably the way he would imagined, passing away. But for her as well, her career was pretty much ended then. I don't know how many years she's got, but it's a very tragic situation. So in this video, I wanted to talk about some tips, and I wanted to give you some advices from my own experience on how to deal with this fatigue when you drive home post night shifts. So for me, working for Queensland Health in the public sector, what happens often is that we would have from 4 to 5 night shifts every month, and those night shifts would be scheduled in blocks. So you would have in your first fortnight of the month 2 night shifts in a row, and then you would have in a second fortnight of the month your second 2 shifts. So they would have them planned in blocks. So it would be 2 night shifts and then another 2 night shifts. Some people would wanna knock them all off and do like all 4 in a row and then just like forget about it for the whole month. And some people like to do even 3 and then leave it and then come back for 1 later. So when you do 2 shifts in a row, it becomes very heavy on your body. I've experienced from my own kind of like experience, if I do 1 shift, it's okay, I can drive home fine. But if I do 2 night shifts in a row, this is when the fatigue starts to kick in really badly, because second day your body doesn't follow its natural routine. And I am not the type of person who can actually catch up on all 8 hours of sleep from my first night. So I would maybe do like 5 at best. I just can't. I tried so many times. I can't sleep 8 hours. I would sleep maybe like 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours post night shift when I just arrived home and had my breakfast, and then I would wake up and then I would sleep again before my night shift. But all in total, I would never have 8 hours. I would have like 5 at best. If you're a type of person who sleeps 8, this is great, because that means that you somehow actually recover for your next night shift, and it will be maybe a little bit easier on you. But for me, it becomes really hard to drive after my second night shift. So what I do is, on my first day before my night shift starts, in my hospital we start at 10:45 at night, which means I can leave home at 10. So I can start to prep myself anytime from 9:30. I don't really need a long time to prep myself for the night shift because I don't take heavy meals with me, and I don't have to do the makeup, nobody cares how you look like at night. So for me, half an hour is enough to leave the house. So my first hint and advice would be, try to have a nap. If you can't have a nap during the daytime, like noontime or afternoon, try to have a nap just before you go to the night shift. So I personally sleep from 7 p.m. till about 9. Like I have alarm at 9:30 to wake me up, but I wake up usually like at 9 o'clock. So I would have at least 1 hour and a half or 2 hours of sleep, and that helps tremendously for me to stay sharp at least until 3 a.m. because when you have your night shift, if you guys ever done it before, you probably will know what I'm talking about now. From 3 a.m. till about, I would say, 5 a.m., you will start to have this point when you will feel really nauseous and you will have this really yucky feeling in your stomach, like very unpleasant feeling, and your level of energy will start to dramatically drop. You will start to feel so sleepy that you will be fighting for your life, literally, to stay awake. So for me, having that nap from 7 p.m. till about 9 or 9:30 helps to pass this time from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. in a little bit easier way. Like, I'm not saying that it tremendously helps me to not feel any abnormal, like yucky feelings in my gut, you know, and not to feel tired, but it's not as bad as if I wouldn't have that sleep. So the first tip is to have a nap, either during the day or just before the shift if you can. Second tip, during the shift itself, you still have your 2 breaks. Whether you would be doing your morning or night or afternoon, you always have, by law, 2 breaks, which is your first 15 minutes break or 20 minutes break for your like tea, and then your second break, which is your lunch or dinner break, it's a 30 minutes break. So at night, when you have your night shift, combine those 2 breaks together and go and have a sleep in a staff room. In my hospital, if you are in palliative care unit, we do have recliners there, and actually that unit gives you an hour at night during the 8-hour shift to sleep. On my ward, we don't have a rule of an hour, but if you combine your 20 and 30 minutes, that gives you 50 minutes, so you can go and have a nap. That can help you as well. Choose which time works better for you to have a nap. If you want to have it during this time from 3 a.m. to 5, you know, have it then. Just keep in mind that if you do have antibiotics for your patients, you know, most of them, they will need to be prepped like from 4 or 5, so just make sure that you're ready for that. So that was my second tip. Try to combine your breaks and have a nap. The third tip is to, if you're a fan of caffeine and caffeine keeps you awake and helps you to stay sharp during your night shifts, then definitely remember to stay hydrated, because caffeine is a diuretic, so it keeps your body dehydrated. So make sure that if you have coffee, you also have adequate amounts of water or, I don't know, herbal teas, whatever you like to drink. For me personally, coffee wouldn't be something that I would be reaching out to during the night shifts. Coffee doesn't have that effect on me by keeping me awake. For me, it's just a normal warm drink. I don't know why, I've been always like that all my life. So I would grab with me in my bag herbal teas, like chamomile, you know, green teas with different like flowers and herbs in it, lemon teas and all of that. So I will grab those and I would have those throughout the night shift, and then I would sip on the water and try to have at least 1.5 liters of water throughout the shift. I would never eat heavy meal because it will make me tired. So I would suggest try stay away from the heavy food throughout the night shift. For me, it does have that effect that if I have a heavy full meal, like a dinner meal or a lunch meal, I would feel sleepy instantly. And it doesn't mean that I had a lot of carbs in it, like any meal. It would just make me feel tired and sleepy. So I try to stay away from the heavy meals. I can take some fruits. I like sour fruits. It keeps me awake. Like too sweet is not really good for me throughout the night shift, but anything sour I love so much. So yeah, a lot of hydration and some fruits. This is my advice to eat throughout the night shift. And then the fourth advice, if you can, if you're doing like second or third shift in a row, if you can, ask your partner or your family member to drop you off and take you back home. For that reason, you don't have to drive yourself, and if you don't live too far from the hospital where you work at, try to catch a public transport. So if this is a comfortable and safe option for you, use it, because then you don't have to drive by yourself. The next tip would be, if you got to the car from your shift and started driving, and you felt like you are really tired and like you can't concentrate on your road, and you have this microsecond sleeps, pull over and have at least 10 to 15 minutes break and sleep. I have done that before, and that happened to me when I had a long block of shifts, because apart from night shifts, we do have also like morning and afternoon shifts prior to that. So your night shifts might be a part of the block of different shifts. So you might have like let's say 2 mornings, 1 afternoon, and then finishing with the nights, or you can have 2 mornings and then 2 nights, or 2 afternoons and then nights. So your body has been already tired, and depending of the area where you work in the hospital, my one is acute clinical, so we have a lot of acutely unwell patients who can deteriorate any second. So it's a pretty exhausting, like hectic shifts that we have. So then going from that to the night shift can exhaust you a lot. And it happened to me a couple of times in those blocks when I needed to pull over and actually stop and lower my seat in a car and sleep. And I slept for about like 15 minutes or so, and that was so good. It was so good. I was able to drive back home. The next tip that you can cooperate into your schedule, you can talk to your NAM and ask them to roast you not 2 by 2 but 1 by 1. So instead of doing 2 night shifts in a row every fortnight, you can break them into having 1 night shift every single week. Some people don't like it like that because they just want to knock it off and forget about it, as I mentioned before. But I personally think that driving home after 1 night shift is much easier than after 2. So if you want to try and see how you go by having 1 night shift per week, then maybe that would be your option. But that option is there on the table. You just need to speak to the NAM of your ward and ask them to schedule you that way, because they follow what you want. Every ward is different, every hospital is different as well. So just speak to your NAM and find an optimal solution that works best for you, and you can explain to them about your fatigue and the safety on the road. Another tip that I've seen people doing as well is carpooling. So if you have a friend of yours who work with you on a ward and you live not too far from each other, you can do a carpool if you scheduled to work on the same night shift together. So you can drive to work and back home together. And this way you can like have a conversation while you're driving. You can swap, the driver's seat as well if one of you become tired. So this is an option for you there if you have someone who is living near in your area and can do a carpool with you. Next tip is to talk to someone on a phone. Like I talk to my mom because my mom lives in Europe, so we have this difference in time. So when I'm driving in the morning, it's evening there. So it's perfect time for me to call her and we can talk. So talking to someone actually helps me to stay awake, keeps my mind sharp as well, especially when you stop on the traffic light and you just stay there and you don't move, nothing exciting is happening, so you kind of like starting to fall asleep. So talking to someone can help. If your partner can do that with you, if your siblings or a best friend who is maybe driving to work as well at that time, you can just speak to someone and stay awake. The other option could be listening to music. Some people like to listen to music, not a calming meditation music, but something like a live, exciting, or you can listen to a podcast that make you think about what you're hearing and just analyze it and not to fall asleep. So that could be one of the options as well. And to have the AC on in your car on a cooler kind of temperature, or to have windows open, because when the car gets too warm, this is just the perfect environment for you to start to feel cozy and sleepy. But if the car is cold or if the wind is hitting your face, that just keeps you awake. And the last tip is to do a face yoga. It does help me, as funny as it sounds, but if you just like do a bit of massage to your face and a bit of like funny faces, you know, and stretch your muscles while you're listening to something, that just helps to keep you awake as well and just wake up those muscles in your face and freshen you up. So I hope these tips were helpful. Add in a comment section below what you use to stay awake and how do you manage your working routine by having night shifts. It would be interesting for all of us to read it. And if you guys have any more ideas for me to film about nursing, if you have any questions, leave them in a comment section below as well. I read them all. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please subscribe and I'll see you in my next videos. Bye.